able to see. So there we go. So thank you all for logging on tonight. Again, thank you for logging on nice and early. Make sure we get started. Obviously, I might try and do it, as I said, at 8:15 in the future. But we've got a few of you on, so we're going to get started. Tonight is another slideshow that I've put together for us all. And again, if your team aren't on this, guys, don't worry. I am going to record this for everybody and then put it on the page again so you guys can watch it and pass it on to your teams. And of course, I will share the link as well, so it will go onto YouTube. I am going to start doing trainings, as I mentioned last week, just to touch on this quickly, where I want the team to start kind of getting involved as well. So I'm going to start making sure that there's a few more of you where we can on these trainings to start doing a little bit more with the actual trainings in terms of a team. But for tonight, as I said, I put the slideshow together. It's not a long one, but please have pens and paper. It should be about 45 minutes or so. Please get your pens and paper so you can jot a few notes down, because there's a few questions tonight that I've basically put in there, which I've been asking myself recently, and I think it'd be really good for all of you to ask yourself. You don't have to answer them on here, but it's answering them yourself, and then obviously when your team watch it, or maybe you can go through some of the questions with your team in your coaching sessions or your planning sessions, you can perhaps decide, between you how you're going to sort of like coach this down, because I think it might work quite well in terms of maybe a group planning or group coaching sessions if you want to use this going forward as well. So basically, guys, our businesses in forever are a numbers game. I mention this quite a lot in our planning meetings at the moment. I seem to be mentioning it quite a lot in terms of ratio, which is what I wanted to talk about tonight, really, and go through, where the ratios are in our business, and are we doing enough to get the results that we want to get? It's often the case that we want recruits or we want CCs, and we wonder why they're not coming in, or we wonder why it's a slow month. And often it's the fact that, we might not be doing enough activity. That doesn't mean that we're not doing activity, because it's often the case that people are doing things, and I can see that things are being done in planning meetings, but really how much effort are we putting in? Could we be doing a little bit more than what we do in terms of getting the results out that we maybe perhaps aren't getting but we want? So ratio, it's a numbers game, is basically tonight's training. Again, I'm going to flip down this side because I don't know why it's not letting me put it up full screen, but I just want to get through this. So we're going to go with all of these slides down here. So the areas of ratio within our forever business, there's obviously lots and lots and lots of them in terms of on a grand scale. But what I want to focus on tonight is the areas of ratio that we can control. So if you want to jot these down, and then feel free to make, as I say, a few notes as we go through this. So the areas of ratio, we've got us. So obviously we've got us as the distributor. It is our own business. We are our own boss. So we are a part of ratio. Also our customers, our parties that we would be having, any events that we do with our business as well, any put boxes or put baskets that we hand out, that we give out to potential customers, potential recruits perhaps. And also another area of ratio obviously falls into our recruiting, which underneath that falls prospecting methods, one-to-ones and sign-ups. And the last thing that I just want to touch on is the ratio in your team. Don't worry if you haven't got a team yet, but it just gives you an idea of what I'm talking about when I talk about the ratio of a team. And there's a couple of things coming up that I think might shock maybe a few of you that did kind of surprise me when I sort of started to really build this business and kind of realised how ratio works and how it is really a numbers game in terms of getting the results that we want. So what I'm going to do, guys, is go through each of these on here on a separate slide. This is all we're going to cover tonight, and I want you guys to jot down, if you will, a few questions and answer them honestly for yourself. So obviously you don't need to share it with the team or with us tonight on training, but it's about you answering the questions for yourself and thinking, am I doing enough, like I said before? So each area is going to have 2 questions kind of attached to it, and then at the bottom of that slide, after those 2 questions, there's going to be a little bit of a tip or a hint, or maybe something that you didn't know, or maybe something that you do know but you might need reminding of, or brushing up on, or kind of recapping on. So first of all, the first one on there was us. So basically we are in control of our business. Okay, so the ratio here is asking yourself, how many products do you use a day? So please write this down. Please, please utilize this tonight, because when I did this myself, and I actually did this, as I was putting the training together, and I've put just a couple of results at the end, which I'll share with you. So it's quite interesting as well. But how many products do you use a day? And how many cc's of personal products do you order a month? So if you look on each one of these slides, the second question is almost rhetorical of the first one, if that makes sense. So how many products do you use a day? So obviously we all should be using Forever products. We shouldn't be going to Superdrug and Boots and everything else. We should be a product of the product. And then ask yourself with that question, how many cc's of personal products do you order a month? Which tells you quite simply from the top question whether or not you're using enough products. And obviously the fact within this one is, did you know we should all be using at least 1 cc of personal product every month to ensure that we are a product of the product and can talk passionately and with integrity about the product with people that we meet. And obviously we know, don't line the products of high street stores when you can line your own. And a great thing for you to pop down, we all know people buy people. I touch on this quite a bit. Again, there's a couple of new people on tonight, but again, if you're, been in the business a little bit or even a couple of weeks, you'll know that I talk quite a lot about people buying people. A great thing really as well, which I keep hearing quite a lot within the managers' pages at the moment, which I think is great, is facts tell and stories sell. So again, looking at ourselves, are we a walking product of our business? Again, that can come down to Facebook as well in terms of ratio. If you're not putting up any selfies or any comments or anything about any products, how are you promoting yourself? I make sure that I do, a sort of a business post every day in some way about my life, but about 4 times over every 2-week period, I will put up something with a product in it, which is me and my story and my benefit from a certain product. You guys might have seen that last week I did it with mascara, and I sold 3 mascaras in 2 days, and I don't even really focus a lot on the makeup range at all. But I was blown away by the size of my lashes from the volumizing mascara, and it got me three mascara sales. So, looking at us and our ratio of how much we do, how many products we use, and obviously, are we making sure that we put through that 1 cc of product minimum per month? Obviously, if you decide to do a C9, or buy yourself a toning wrap, if you do a wrap party or whatever, or pamper night or whatever it is that you want to do, you might end up doing, 1.5. But the minimum should be 1 that we all put through every single month. So that's our ratio on ourselves. So be honest with yourself, maybe count up how many products you use. I think I was saying to somebody in the team the other day that I counted up that I use 26 products a day. And that is just the most simple personal care products, and then a few sort of basics as well that I use to supplement my health. The next couple of things then, the next couple of questions on the next ratio part is our customers. So again, guys, write it down. How many regular customers do you have? And by regular, I mean somebody who comes back every single month. So you might have somebody who, loves the gel and says they'll always drink the gel, but they come back every 3 months. So when I'm saying regular, I'm talking to how many people come back to you month in, month out, and reorder the same products. Obviously, if they are an avid gel drinker, then it should be every 3 weeks, so they would count as one of your regular customers. And then the second part, which attaches to that question in terms of ratio, is how many people do you speak to daily, weekly, and monthly about our products? Okay, so how many regular customers you have will depend on how many people that you speak to about the products. And again, did you know that we should all have a regular customer base of 20 to 30 customers ordering products from us every single month? Now, again, this does take time to build up. I would be lying if I said that in my first few months I had that many. I've built that over time. But I have that consistently now going over my month, and some months, some people might order 2 bottles of drinking gel and might say to me, I'll come back in the next month. But pretty much I've got 20 to 30 regular that come back to me every month or every 2 months, guaranteed. And that means that if you've got that, you should be guaranteeing yourself 1 to 2 cc of retail every month. And that is as well as referrals. So again, this is one thing that I think we don't do, and I certainly didn't do for a long, long time, was to speak to the customers that come back to me every month and love the products and ask them if they know anybody else who they could recommend a product for, or that they could give me a contact for, that I could say, well, I can let them know about a product that might help them. So basically you've got your customers. And again, what I would say is, if you're working through your customer list at the moment and you're checking your customer book, which we should all have, if you've not got at least 15 customers on there, then you need to go out and get some, okay? Because this is where you'll struggle with your activity, you'll struggle with your CCs, and if you struggle with your CCs of customers, then you're going to find it very, very hard to build a team, because you have to coach down what you're doing. So again, it makes you look at yourself and also look at your team in terms of coaching. If you've not got at least 15, you need to go and find some more customers, guys, and that's being completely honest, because I had dips last year in my business of people that would buy something and come back every, say, 3 or 4 months only if I messaged them. That's not a regular customer. Okay, we need quite a bit more than that happening. So there's your customers in terms of ratio. The next area of ratio is our parties. Again, the question that you need to be asking yourselves is, how many parties are you having a month? Okay, and the question that attaches to that, which will give you your answer in terms of your CCs, is how many people are you asking to have a party for you? So it's all right having a great party and doing a case credit and doing really well and getting lots of sales and getting loads of people asking you and coming away buzzing. But then if you're just hoping and wishing that you get a party next month, but you're not speaking to enough people and asking them if they'll have a party for you, then where is your ratio? You need to be asking a good group, a good handful of people to have a party to get one person to say, yes, I'll have a party for you next month. So again, how many parties are you having a month, and how many people are you asking to have a party for you? And again, we've said it before, you can use things like freebies, bottles of wine, I don't know, bottle of bubbly, you can do 15% off. There's lots of things you can do. A free gift, a goodie bag worth £20. It's up to you, but you need to be making sure that people have got an incentive to do parties, because the more people you offer incentives for, the more parties you're going to get booked in. And the thing is as well, what's important with parties, and I will tell you this for nothing, as it's happened quite a lot recently actually to a few people, which is a real shame. They're spending so much time trying to get parties in the diary, panicking that they're not getting parties, that they're actually slowing down their other activity in the business. So it's making sure that your activity is all done, how can I put it? It's all done in basically segments. So you talk about, you might spend so much time in the month on parties, so much time in the month on recruits, so much time in the month on chasing up your customers, giving great customer care. You have to have an allocated amount of time to each area of activities, what I'm saying, because if you focus one area, your time on one area, you'll find that other areas will dip, which is where, again, you'll find that you struggle with CCs. So parties are a big plus point on CCs, but you have to make sure you're asking enough people if you're looking to have one a month. Did you know that we should all be having a minimum of one party per month? Okay, so again, one party is going to result you pretty much, even if you get, and I was speaking to Deb about this earlier on today, who's on the call. Sometimes we invite lots of people to our parties, and we might only get a small number. But what we often find is that parties will deliver CCs. So whether or not you've got 3 or you've got 13 people at your party, it's often the case that when you showcase the products, people are intrigued, and you will generally get quite a good order if you're passionate about them. So, a party a month doesn't have to be 25 people. It could be 4 or 5 people, but one party a month will result in 1 to 2 CCs each time. So again, how many parties are you having? This would guarantee us another 1 to 2 CC each month, as well as referrals. So just with ourselves, our customers and our parties, we have pretty much there, guys, guaranteed, if you've sort of added it up and worked it out, we've guaranteed ourselves a low of 3 and a high of 5, and we've not even got halfway through our activity for the month. So if you're not getting CCs, or anybody in your team is not getting CCs, you need to look at your activity, and you need to look at the ratio of your activity as well. Following on from parties is our events. How many events are you having a table or a stall? Oh, just gonna mute. We've lost a mute on that. Guys, I can't actually see. Whoever's just unmuted themselves, can you just mute yourself for me? I can't see it. I'm not too sure who that is. Brilliant. It's gone. Thank you very much. Just don't want to close the screen down because last time I lost it and I don't want to have to re-log in for you all again. So thank you. So how many events are you having a table or a stall at each month? And how much time then are you spending looking for events in your local area? I had a planning meeting with someone last week and they said, "Oh, I've been meaning to get on Stall Finder and you know look at what's available in my area, but I've just not had the chance." And it was like the 14th of the month. Well, if you're not spending the time looking for events, how are you going to get events? You know, again, how much time are you putting in? The ratio is if you put in an hour a week looking for events, you know, an hour, you can do a lot in an hour. You can get an awful lot of interest. You can get in your newspapers, you can get on your Facebook pages, go out into your local area, look for mums groups, gyms, everything. 1 or 2 hours a week is going to guarantee you maybe an event for that month, but also events for the months going forward as well. So looking for the events is really important to make sure that you're guaranteeing that you're going to get them. And again, just like a party, did you know that we should all be doing at least one event per month as well? And again, this doesn't have to be a massive event with 20, 30 people. This could just be, what did I do the other day? I went into another play centre local to me, and I had a table from 10 till 12 and I sold 2 drinking gels. I sold 2 shakes and I had 2 girls who worked there who wanted a put box. Wasn't loads, but it was something. So it's resulted me in about half a cc. It could be anything. It could be a small amount of cc's. It could be, you know, a lot more. And as I've put at the bottom there, it may not get you sales on the day. And I say this to all of you, and I would stress this hugely, that when you do events, it is not about selling 10 jellies or 15 drinking gels or 4C9s. It's about you getting the contacts, about you getting out there, being passionate, talking to people, getting your questionnaires filled in, because what it will result in, if you follow everybody up correctly and you're consistent and persistent with your follow-ups, is the fortune, which is going to result in put boxes, regular customers, and even recruits. So again, I had contact with, again, just to mention it, Deb on here. Deb then used a put box and she's now in the team and she's got a first promotion and she's got a team. So just happened to pick you out again there, Deb, because that's what I thought of in terms of your put box. But you know, you can just see that an event, and it was actually I met Deb, who was actually putting together the event that I had a stall at nearly 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. So it just kind of shows you that, you know, these kind of activities, guys, give you a lot more than what you give them credit for. It's not all about sales; it's about going out there and meeting people. But again, a simple event can get you half a case credit, or it could get you 2, 3 case credits and a lot more if you get a recruit from that event. So, you know, how much time are you spending looking for events and how many are you having a month? You should be having at least one a month of some sort. The next ratio question: how many put boxes or put baskets do you send out each week? Okay, so obviously, how many have you sent out so far? We are almost 3 weeks into the month, so have you been sending them out every week? How many have you sent out each week? And then again, to answer that question, to reiterate it to yourself, how many people do you offer a put box to? I am constantly speaking to people, meeting new people. They only have to drop in something about a product or anything, and I'll say, do you know what I do? I do sample boxes. I can drop them around to your house. You get to try for 5 days. You get a free gift, and all I ask is for a little bit of feedback, no obligation to order. How many times are you dropping in the conversation about your put box to people? Because that's going to result in how many people you give a put box or a put basket to each week. And again, majority, if you know this, but to recap, did you know we should be sending out 2 pups a week, so 8 a month? If you're doing that, you're pretty much guaranteeing yourself some sales from a pup. Not everyone you give a put box to or a put basket to may order. So with 8 going out a month, you're still very likely to get a minimum of 4 orders, which obviously is a good half ratio, which could mean a half to 1 cc a month just from pup orders. What if 2 of your 4 order a C9? You've done a case credit already out of 2 put boxes. You know, I have a lot of put boxes where people order 50, 60 pounds worth of products because they've maybe took it for a skin condition. I've had a lady tonight that I've contacted and said, oh, I'll be with you tomorrow in the morning, 10 a.m, as promised, to pick up your put box. I've got some stock here in my house. Is there anything you'd like to order that you particularly liked out the put box? And I left the shampoo and conditioner with her and the jelly because her husband's got really bad psoriasis all over his scalp and his neck, and she wants all three. Well, the shampoo and conditioner are £14 each. So I've just basically done a £50 order from one lady that I'm dropping off tomorrow and picking up the put basket. That's worked for a week at her house while I've had no dealings with it. So you need to be realistic about how many people you're speaking to a put box about and how many people you are giving a put box to, because if you're not speaking to it, you're not going to get it out. And again, put boxes can lead to regular customers, also, and recruits, like I've said, and also, again, referrals. If you've got somebody who goes, oh my God, I can't believe how amazing that Propolis cream was for my eczema, and you say, do you know anybody else who's got eczema? Then I've often found that if I do that and they say, well, actually, yes, I do, I will find that my put box goes around half their family for 3 weeks, and I pick it up and I get £60, £70 worth of orders. So use the referrals in there as well, guys. It's massive. So again, 4 areas of activity. We're up to about 4-5 cc now. We've still not finished. So are you doing enough in terms of your ratio? Only you know. Then we move on to recruiting. I mentioned a few areas in recruiting. I mentioned obviously like prospecting was one of them, and I'll go through the other ones in sort of separate headings. But please make some notes on this, and please be realistic if you're answering these questions with yourself, because in terms of recruiting and prospecting methods, the question that you need to ask yourself is how many ways do you use to prospect? So obviously, if you look in your First Steps to Manager book, which pretty much, again, a lot of this is out of because I use that religiously every single day. And if you're not using that book, guys, you're missing a trick. You need to pick up your First Steps to Manager ASAP and get your head in there, because it's just an amazing tool that we all have our hands on. But in there you've got different ways, and there's also a brilliant Jane Leach video that I put on Happy Success a couple of weeks ago in terms of prospecting methods. So obviously you've got talking to people. I think I did it on a training a couple of weeks as well, so I've not put it all on here tonight because I know a lot of you have seen it, and if you haven't, it's on my YouTube channel, so you can jump back on there. But you've got speaking to people, you've got social media, you've got, again, like I just mentioned, you've got put boxes, you've got events, you might have flyering. I had another couple that have joined me today that came to the BP on Tuesday night. They joined about 2 hours ago with their NDP. That's my 3rd recruit this month, and I'm not saying that to impress you, but I'm saying that because of this specific area to say, what ways are you using to prospect? So obviously I use social media, I will contact markets, I'll speak to anybody out and about, and I use flyering, because flyering, again, a bit like a put box. Obviously I use quite a lot of areas really, but what I'm saying is if you pick a good few that work for you, then you're more likely to grow your chances of growing your team. So how many ways do you use? Just jot them down. Like I said, there's contact marketing, there's flyering, there's pups, there's parties, there's events, there is, what else have I just said? Networking events, and there's also social media. There's lots and lots and lots of ways for you to prospect, and that is prospecting for recruits, but also potentially for customers as well. So you need to think about how many ways you're using to prospect. What are you doing? And how often do you do them? And that's the rhetorical question. That's important, because it's all right saying I flyer, I use Facebook, I speak to people. If you're only sort of speaking to somebody out and about at a shop once a week, it's not often enough for you to get the results that you may potentially want if you're building a team or going to manager. So again, how much time are you putting in to doing your prospecting? Is it enough to get you the results that you are looking for? Again, it has to work for you. So I'm not talking about hours and hours and hours here, because a lot of people have got other commitments, but I'm just saying that you need to think about your methods of prospecting. How often and how many ways do you do them? And again, did you know, which we all do, I think we all should be by now, we should all be speaking to 5 to 10 people a day, every single day, and using a minimum of 3 different prospecting methods. So again, like I've just said, yes, I work it, all the time, probably full time, which some weeks and a little bit less other weeks, but I will do a lot of prospecting methods, but at absolute minimum, we should be doing 3. So maybe you want to put Facebook down, maybe you want to put flyer in, but that means if you put flyer in, it's not a flyer a week. That means that you make that a proper method in terms of getting yourself customers or potential recruits. So you need to be realistic about your methods, and are you working them enough? and write down 3 that work for you. So there you go. You might not be thinking, I might have mentioned something there that you think, I could do that. I've actually got 2 from a flyer in the last 2 weeks. But it's not the only thing to do, because I've given out a lot of flyers to get those 2 recruits, a lot. So again, maybe if you've got less time, you might want to do flyering as an extra, but you might want to make contact marketing an area that you put down, so that maybe once a week you give yourself 2 hours and you go out and you make a commitment to contact market and come home with 2 or 3 numbers. Only you guys can commit to what it is that you're going to do, but don't be sort of upset with the results that you don't get for the work that you're not willing to put in. So be realistic with your methods of prospecting. Also with recruiting, your one-to-ones. How many one-to-ones on average are you having a week? Not a month, a week. How many one-to-ones on average are you having in a week? So in a weekly period of those 7 days, from Sunday to Sunday, yes, we're contacting people, but how many times are we sitting down with somebody, and how many times are we showing somebody, whether it's on a Skype, whether it's on the phone, whether it's over coffee, however you choose to do it, how many times a week are you showing somebody what you've got to offer? And again, the rhetorical question here is, how many people are you inviting for a one-to-one? So how many people are you messaging on Facebook saying, are you free for coffee? I'd love to show you more about what it is that I do, because you'd be fantastic at it for X, Y, Z reason. How many people are you speaking to on Facebook that maybe lives 2 hours away, where you can say, it'd be great to speak to you one night, send me over your number, it'd be good to catch up, and also I'd love to share with you an amazing opportunity that's changing my life, and I think it could change yours. How many people are you inviting for a one-to-one? Lots and lots and lots of people at the moment in their planning meetings with me are saying, oh, she's really warm, she's really interested, she said to me that she really likes the idea of it, so I told her that I'd give her a shout in a few weeks. Why are we giving somebody a shout in a few weeks? If you've got an opportunity and you've got somebody who's interested, you need to go for it. When this guy rang me about the flyer in Urmston and said, I'm a little bit intrigued, I didn't say, brilliant, love, thanks for your call, I'll call you in a week when I've got a spare day. I said, brilliant, I got my diary out and I said, when are you free? And I looked at when I was free, and we fitted a coffee in on a Sunday afternoon in our local Costa. And that was last Sunday, and they joined today with an NDP, but they also came to the BP on Tuesday. So you've got to have that sense of urgency in inviting people to look at the business for you to get enough one-to-ones booked in. And did you know, and this is quite interesting, did you know that we should all be, oh no, sorry, I apologise, I've not changed that, have I? I do apologise, bear with me a second, I think I've just repeated the slide. I have as well, bear with me. Oh. That's the one I meant to do. I've added another slide. Sorry. Apologies for that, guys. That's the one I was going for. So how many one-to-ones? Yeah, we'll move on to that one because I skipped that over. Sorry. Apologies for confusing you. So, yeah, that's where I was going. I've repeated this here, which is a mistake, obviously, because I've just mentioned that in prospecting. So I've not tweaked that. Apologies. But really, with this one, you need to find your contact to your one-to-one ratio. By that, I mean, how many people do you need to speak to get a one-to-one lined up? Okay, please write that down because it's quite important. Bear with me. Prospecting methods, that's the one. Sorry, lost myself a bit there. So yeah, find your contact to one-to-one ratio. So how many people do you need to speak to be able to sit down? How many people come back to you and say, no, I'm not interested? How many people completely ignore your message on Facebook even though they've seen it, which is very frustrating and quite rude, but people do it. So you need to find your contact to one-to-one ratio. So you need to be very, very aware that if you speak to 20 people and you get 2 people that say, yes, I'd like to have a one-to-one and hear more, then don't then go and contact 5 people the next week and hope that you get a one-to-one. Find what works for you. If you get a one-to-one every 10 people, speak to 10 people a day and you'll get 5 one-to-ones booked in. Find your ratio of what works for you. I hope that makes sense to all of you. If you've got any questions on that, write it down and you can ask me at a later date. Sign-ups then, the next part of the ratio. Following on from your one-to-ones, how many sign-ups are you getting each month? So far, we're in 19 days. How many sign-ups have you got this month? How many people have joined your team? Yeah, they can join with a clean 9, but I'm talking ideally with an NDP. So how many people are signing up to do the business with you after your one-to-ones? And again, the question that attaches to that is how many one-to-ones are you having? So your ratio here is how many one-to-ones do you have to get somebody to say, yeah, I want to join you. I want you to coach me to build my business and to earn an income. And this is the bit that I was talking about before. I got a little bit confused. Did you know that it may take 6 to 8 one-to-ones to get 1 to 2 sign-ups? That's a really, really, really important piece of information, because a lot of people, and I know it's happening in the team at the moment, and it's a real bugbear, because I think I've been there and I can't stress enough. And obviously, anyone who's not on the call tonight, please, please, please coach it down. I know a lot of you are, but we're putting all of our eggs in one basket with one person and hoping they join. And it's the worst thing that we can do, because what we can do is, if that happens in the first week and they say, yeah, I'll join you, and we don't look for anybody else, then we are wasting 3 weeks. And then what happens is, the end of the month, that person goes, oh, I've changed my mind, it's not for me, I'll come back to you in a few months. And then you're left on 2.4 cc. And it's devastating, and it shouldn't be happening, because what we need to do is speak to enough people, have enough one-to-ones in our diary, and if that random person decides to join us next week, brilliant. If they join us next year, it doesn't matter, because we've got enough people here that we're speaking to. So how many sign-ups are you getting each month, and how many one-to-ones are you having a month? And this again works with the bottom part here, which is find your one-to-one to sign-up ratio. So how many one-to-ones do you need to have to get someone to join your business with an NDP? Now, obviously, the more confident you get at one-to-ones, I know that I had a great planning meeting with Becky, who's on the call on Monday, actually, this week. And we had a great chat about this, and it was quite interesting. I think it was quite an eye-opener for Becky as well, to sort of say, how many one-to-ones do you need to have before you get a sign-up? Because it's often the case that we say, I spoke to 10, but then if we're not getting one-to-ones in the diary, then this bit is going to be the tricky part, which is getting our sign-ups and building our team, and then going forward and sort of working our way up through the marketing plan with the promotions. So again, I think when I first started, I would say that this was me here. I'd probably have to have a good 6 to 8 one-to-ones to get a good couple of sign-ups in my team. I've had 3 one-to-ones this month, and they've all joined, which is, great success. But last month I had 6 or 7, and only 2 joined. So it varies from month to month, but it depends on obviously how warm they are, but also you have to know how many people you've got in your pipeline that you're having one-to-ones with, because some will be warm, some will be hot, some will not have a clue what it is, and maybe not turn up to your one-to-one, which I've sat there before for over 45 minutes and had no contact, and then never heard from the person again. So you need to make sure that you are basically filling up your pipeline with enough people and enough one-to-ones to be able to know what your ratio is. And the last thing really, guys, is your team. So this is quite interesting for you to look at the ratio of your team in the way of how many people do you have in your team. Now, obviously, some of you on here, I know there's a couple of new people on there, and a few people that don't have a team. That's fine, but it's worth thinking about this, because this is the reality of where your business will go or not. How many people do you have in your team?
On the Saturday, so that's the reason why she wants to stay behind.
Jackie, can you do me a favour, hon? Can you just mute yourself, please, love?
Yeah.
Jackie?
Yeah, I'm gonna. Oh, yeah.
Thanks, love. She's just popped up. Sorry, just because I haven't got the chat box. Thank you, Jackie. How many people do you have in your team, and how many of those are doing something? And this is really interesting. I want to share this with you guys, because I want to give you an idea, a very, very realistic idea of what can happen. And it's very, very normal, and that's where sometimes it's understanding the ratio of why we say it's a numbers game. Did you know that I've recruited 22 people with an NDP, and only 13 are doing something with the business at this time? Okay. Now, I told someone that the other day, and they were really quite shocked at that, actually. And I think when I've looked at it, I actually sat there today. I thought it was around 20 and around 11 or 12. So I worked that out today, and I've looked at all the people that I've brought in with an NDP. So I've brought in 22 people with an NDP in 13 months, which means I'm like 4 people off my yellow suitcase. It's a bit devastating, but we're still going for that. So you can see though the kind of ratio there that only 13 people are doing something. That doesn't mean that 13 people are 4cc active. That means that 13 people are doing something with the business right now. Some people will come back. Some people who are doing something will become active. Some people will disappear in the next few months. It's just the reality of the business. But you can see the amount of people. You can imagine just by me doing this tonight, and I know a lot of you know from having quite a lot of planning meetings with myself, how many people I say that I need to speak to. I think when I started this business, I think in the January when I got serious about recruiting and going to manager, I think I messaged over 300 people in the space of 3 weeks when I got very, very serious about the business, and I recruited 5. So if you look at that, 300 people, 5 recruits. So if you're messaging a couple of people and hoping that you're going to get a one-to-one and hoping that one person who's floating around in the airspace is going to join you tomorrow, you need to kind of open your eyes, because it doesn't work like that. And this is something that Bob Parker said to me at a BP last year. I just started speaking at my BP in Say, I just started doing my testimonial. And he said to me, "Oh, how are you doing, Philippa? You seem like you're doing great. You did bubbly up there, and you're manager, and well done." And I was like, "Brilliant. I think I just got manager." And I said, yeah, I've got a team of, I think whatever it was, at about 22 people. And he went, "Brilliant, you've got one person in there that will go manager." And I was like, "What?" And I said, no. I said, people want manager. Lots of people want manager. I said, they all want manager. And he went, "Yeah, one of them will go manager." And I remember coming away from that BP going, "Oh, flipping it, that's a bit of a shock." And that really, for me, was that light bulb moment that made me go, wow, okay. So if I want a business, and I want a big business, and I want promotion, and I want incentives, I need to build the business properly, because I need to understand that I need to speak to quite a lot of people to get a lot of one-to-ones. I need to do a lot of one-to-ones to get recruits, and I need to coach a lot of recruits to get the good people and the key people that will stay in my team, that will build their businesses and have the passion that I've got. So that's a really, really, really big statement that stuck with me, and it always will. So please bear that in mind, guys, in terms of your business. Look at where you are now. And I don't want any of these figures here to make you go, "Oh my God, I can't do it," because it's not about that. It's about just saying, be very, very aware that the results will happen, but you need to make sure that you're working on ratio. So what I want to do very quickly, guys, is just finish off with you asking yourself a few questions tonight, again, in regards to what we've just gone through. So again, please write these down, maybe if you haven't already, or write them down or jot them down as I go through them. And maybe go off this call and have a little look, count up your products, look at how many people you're speaking to, look at the activity that you've done in 19 days so far this month. Is it enough? Is it enough for the results you want? Is it getting you the CCs that you planned out, that you volume that at the start of your month? Am I using enough products this month? Only you know. I've said I use quite a lot. I spoke to someone, I mentioned this last week, I spoke to someone not long ago in somebody else's team, luckily, and they said, "Oh, I use the tooth gel and the shampoo at my NDP." They went, "But I wouldn't really use the rest." And they're not even in my team. And I said, "Well, you're going to get a shock then. You're not going to split the business because you're not using enough." So only you know. Are you using enough products this month? Have you put your 1cc order in? You should have all put your 1cc order in by now for what it is that you use daily. Have I spoken to enough people about the products this month? And am I looking after my customers? That's the next part that we talked about. Are you giving great customer care? Are your customers getting looked after? Are you following up with your customers? Are you going back to your customers if they are a new customer on the drinking gel? Are you going to them after maybe 7-10 days saying, "How are you getting on? Are you making sure it's in the fridge? Are you making sure you take it every morning before your food or before your tea or your coffee? Would you like to order another bottle in a week and a half when that one runs out?" We do recommend 2 bottles, which is 6 to 8 weeks before you see a benefit. Customer care is absolutely key in this business. I speak to people time and time and time again that just drop products off with a customer and hope they come back to them. It doesn't work like that. Your customer care has to be key. That's how I get my regular customers who come back month after month after month. Have you had a party this month? I don't know. You know if you've had a party or not. Has it been 2, 3 people? Has it been 10, 20 people? Have you made sure that you have either had a party or you've got one in the next 9 days? You should have a party in your diary every single month. Have you done an event? You might have done something that's not been successful and you thought, oh, that was a little bit of a flop. I got one questionnaire filled in and no other interest. It doesn't matter. You did an event. That one person may become a recruit 6 months down the line. So just make sure that you've got something in that you can say, yep, tick, 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 I've done it. Have you got 8 put boxes or 8 put baskets going out this month, 2 a week? I have 4 baskets. Obviously, yes, I work it more, but I have 4 baskets at the moment that circulate every week. It's a bit frantic. Sometimes I think I should maybe have just kept to 2 or 3. But, you know, it means that I'm constantly getting new customers that are ticking over as well as my regular customers. So it just means that you're guaranteeing yourself as well, guys, with your pups, that if you do have regular customers that drop off, you've got other potential people that might come on board with you know, being a customer, potentially look at the business brochure, and also may become a regular customer to replace one of your customers that dropped off last week. So you always need to be just keeping on top of your retail, really, and making sure that that's just ticking over. You're using enough yourself. Your customers are getting the care they deserve. Your parties and events, you're getting 1 in a month, and that you're getting 8 put boxes, ideally minimum, going out. That's going to tick you over a good 2 to 3 to 4 CCs, and that is before you're recruiting. So from the recruiting perspective then, just to finish off, so what methods am I using to prospect this month? What have you been doing? Have you been on Facebook? Have you been content marketing? Have you posted a few flyers? Have you been out somewhere with your samples? Have you booked a, I don't know, brilliant networking event at the start of this month, which has got me loads of contacts for put boxes? No potential sales yet, and no one looking at the business yet, but it will grow because that's what this business does. So what methods of prospecting are you using? The 3 you wrote down before, you need to commit to using those and make sure they happen. Out of your prospecting methods, how many one-to-ones have you had this month? Have I had? Sorry about that. How many one-to-ones have I had this month so far? So how many one-to-ones have you had in your diary? How many one-to-ones have you got in your diary for the next 9 days? If you have 0 one-to-ones booked in, it's very unlikely that you're going to get any sign-ups, because that's the reality, again, of the ratio of this business. How many sign-ups have you had this month? How many people have joined your team? And obviously, if you've got more one-to-ones in, how many sign-ups are going to come? Again, if you're focusing on 1 or 2 people that you've got your fingers crossed are going to join, then you are really, really, really making a mistake. Because I'll tell you, in the first few months of my business, guys, I had the same 4 people on my whiteboard. And I kept ringing them, and I kept messaging them, and I kept saying, how about now? Let's meet for coffee. I was probably a bit of an irritation, to be honest. But I learned very quickly it doesn't work. Very quickly. And I learned that cycle that we talk about in the First Steps to Manager, when everyone says don't reinvent the wheel, it's very true. Leave those people, contact new people all the time. And it's funnily enough, 2 of those came back and joined the team. So it's, you know, I'm not talking about pestering them, but I'm talking about focusing too much. They joined the team when the time was right for them, not when I thought it was right for them. So you have to be really, really realistic on having that pipeline full all the time. How many people have you got in your team? Again, you know, it happens, like you've just seen in my last slide. Some people join and do nothing. Some people join and stop. Some people join and expect £1,000 check but aren't willing to do activity for it. They're not willing to work that 4-letter word. So you have to be realistic about how you're building your team and how many people do you need to sort of see how many of them are going to do something with their businesses. So again, ask yourself the questions. If you want more CCs, if you want more people in your team, if you want promotions, you need to go right back to the start of the cycle, and you need to go, who am I contacting? Who am I speaking to? You know, it's really, really important to make sure that that's happening. So to finish off, 3 vital ingredients. Obviously, there's lots and lots and lots of things that we need to be doing in this business. But what I want to do, if I can just I don't know if I can even do this because it's a bit of a problem. I can't get my meeting board back up. Oh, my screen's gone. Bear with me. I'm going to pop that back up in a second, guys, but I just want, bear with me a second. I just want to, oh, I'm seeing a few messages. You guys have got the slides. Oh, sorry, devs, I've just seen all of that. Yeah, I just want you guys to pop in the chat box. I'll bring the screen back in a second for you, but for some reason it won't let me do both tonight. I've just mentioned there 3 ingredients. Anyone got any ideas what I would say the 3 ingredients are in terms of what you need to do? What 3 vital ingredients are going to get you basically to be successful and to get you bringing in, you know, the results with the ratio that I've mentioned? Pop your comments in there. Let me just have a little look. Consistency, yep. Activity, yep. Charisma, yep. Absolutely all correct, but planning, yep. Absolutely. And I'll show you what I put down as what they are to finish off, because I think there's lots and lots and lots. But for me, what I coach down to you guys that I've certainly worked on myself are these 3 things. So if you do nothing for these next 9 days, just do this, okay? Because it will work, okay? The 3 things that I think are, number 1 needs to be you, which falls into exactly what you guys have just said there. Consistency, activity, charisma. It's all about you. It's all about you. If you do not work this business and you do not go out and do the activity that you need to do, you will not get results. There's no secret to it at all. People that say to me, I just haven't got my CCs this month. I just don't know what's happened. It's just been a bit tough. Obviously, things are tough in life, and I get that. And you know what? I've not had the easiest 12 months, but I don't impact it on the business unless obviously something terrible happens, which is very, very sad. But it's all about you. The business works if you do. You know, I know people in this team recently that have really stepped up their activity, and it's brilliant actually. I've had a couple of messages over the last couple of weeks, funnily enough, saying, oh my God, it's all happening. I've got a 1-to-1. Oh my God, it's all going on. I've got a party. I just spoke to a lady and I've got 2 clean 9s. Because you're doing the activity and you're sowing the seeds. And if you do the business works. So you are number 1. Number 2 is your who do you know list. Can't stress it enough. I talk about it again, over and over and over and over and over again. I know there's a couple of people that still aren't using their who do you know list. You will hit a wall. There's no secret. You will hit a wall. You might do brilliantly for 3-4 months. Brilliantly. Smash your CCs out the water. Brilliant. If you're not using this, it will dry up. Your names will dry up, your contacts will dry up. You will find that 12 months on, 13 months on, I've still got people in my who do you know list that I've not yet contacted, okay, because I am using this daily, and I grow and grow and grow my business, grow my pipeline, and it really is your database. And if you don't have a who do you know list that is active, that you are working every day, you will hit a wall in your business. No matter how great you think everything is, I've seen it a lot, and it's also happened to me, and it will happen. So please get using your who do you know list every day. And Jackie mentioned it 100%. Planning is key. There's no particular order for this, but I just think for me that works quite well in the fact that number 1 is you. It lies with you. Number 2, what are you working from? And number 3, with these 2 combined, are you planning your time? Are you planning your activity? Are you planning your team? Are you planning your CCs? Are you planning your goals, your dreams, your why, your promotions? If you're not planning, you guys know that I say it time and time again, failing to plan is planning to fail. I speak to people still who get to Wednesday and they message me in a panic, and there's other people who sit down and on a Sunday and they message me Sunday night and they go, oh, I feel like a weight's been lifted, I've just planned my week. If you plan, you'll get results. If you don't, you won't. It really is that simple. So that's it tonight, guys. I hope that's helped. It's been just about an hour, which is good. Like I say, I am trying to keep these a little bit shorter now, which is working for all of you. And also, I don't want to be on here too long, talking about too much stuff. I'd rather split it over separate weeks if I've got sort of stuff to say to you all. But yeah, I hope that helped. I hope that gave you a bit of an idea, really, about the consistency. And I know that I talk about someone just bought from my shop. Brilliant, Jackie. Woohoo! Do you like an order? But yeah, just consistency. And I know that I talk about it, but I think it's one of those things that's really great to show you that if you're doing enough, you'll get the results. But don't, I wanted to get a quote on there, but I've had some issues inserting quotes. There's always an issue. But it was like what I said before, guys, really to finish off and just to say to you all, don't be upset by the results you don't get for the work that you're not prepared to do. And I think that's something that I'm going to write on my board, because I saw it before and couldn't quite get the quote on the slideshow, unfortunately. But yeah, if you want a business, you want team, you want manager, you want CCs, then you've really got to go out there and do the activity. So thank you very much, guys. I hope that helped all of you. You're very welcome, Tracy. No problem, Jackie. I have recorded it. Obviously, a little bit random with the screen tonight for some reason, but it's all recorded. So I will hopefully, no problems from last time with the recordings. I'll get that all up for you very shortly. So thank you very much, guys. And there's 9 days left of the month. Keep pushing your CCs. If you're not at 4, make sure you get 4, guys. It's minimum. It's how we get paid. And if you are at 4, then keep going. Why stop? I think I'm at 7.5 or 8.5 now. So keep going. Keep pushing. Thank you very much. And